King of Adero disappeared on the night of his greatest celebration. His crown was found sitting on the throne. His royal robes were folded neatly beside it, and his footprints led out of the palace, but they stopped at the village gate. For 20 years, the people of Adero had believed their king was the greatest ruler their kingdom had ever known. Under his reign, the farms became prosperous. The markets grew. The roads were rebuilt. Children who once went hungry were given food. And every year, on the night of the king's coronation anniversary, the entire kingdom gathered outside the palace to celebrate the man they called the father of Adero. But on his 20th anniversary, something happened that nobody could explain. The celebration had just ended. The musicians had gone home. The palace gates had been closed. The king entered his private chamber, and before sunrise, he was gone. No struggle, no blood, no broken doors. Nothing had been stolen. Only the crown remained, and beside it was a small piece of folded cloth. The palace guards searched the entire kingdom. They searched the forests. They searched the roads. They searched neighboring villages. They found nothing, until one of them noticed something strange. The king's footprints had left the palace. They crossed the royal courtyard. They passed through the main gate. They continued along the road. And then, they stopped at the entrance of the poorest village in Adero. The village was called Omia. It was the place most people in the kingdom had forgotten. Its houses were small. Its roads were broken. Its farms were dry. And most of its people had never entered the royal palace. The guards searched every house, but the king was nowhere to be found. Then an old woman stepped out of a small mud house. She was carrying the same folded piece of cloth that had been found beside the king's crown. She had been waiting for them, but she did not tell them where the king was. Instead, she pointed toward an old abandoned farm at the edge of the village. The guards followed her, and there, beneath a large tree, they found something that changed the entire story of Adero. Not the king, a grave, an old grave, and beside it was a wooden box. Inside the box were hundreds of letters. Every letter had been written by the king, but none had been sent. The first letter was written 20 years earlier, the same year he became king. It revealed something the people of Adero had never known. Before he became king, he had made a promise to his father. His father had been the previous king, and before dying, the old king had shown his son something hidden beneath the palace. A secret room. Inside that room were records showing that the royal family had been taking food and land from Omia for generations. The village had once been the richest farming community in the kingdom, but every king before him had taken from them. The previous king had confessed that the royal family had built its wealth on the suffering of the village. And then he made his son promise. If you ever become king, give back what was taken. The new king tried. But the royal council refused. They told him that returning the land would weaken the crown. They told him the villagers would become powerful. They told him the kingdom would collapse. So the king made a different decision. He began helping Omia secretly. Every year, money disappeared from the royal treasury. Nobody understood where it went. But in Omia, wells began appearing. Farms were repaired. Children received books. Old farmers received seeds. Roads slowly improved. The people believed their progress was a miracle. They never knew the king was responsible, and the king never took credit. For 20 years, he secretly repaired what his family had destroyed, until the night of his 20th anniversary. That night, he realized the truth could no longer remain buried. So he left the palace before sunrise. By morning, the people of Omia discovered him beside his father's grave. For the first time, their king stood before them without a crown. And suddenly, they understood. He had not abandoned his kingdom. He had abandoned the throne. The palace called him back. He never returned. And from that day, the throne of Adero remained empty. But every year, the people returned to Omia, not to remember the king who ruled them, but the man who gave them back their lives. Because a crown can make a man powerful, but only his choices can make him worthy. And that was how the king who disappeared from Adero finally became the king its people would never forget. If this story moved you, subscribe, like, and share. More legends are coming.